In an exclusive interview to NDTV, the Chief of Air Staff, Air Chief Marshal Dhanoa, spoke about his role in the Kargil war and how he was one of those Air Force pilots who was deployed to actually strike these targets at the time he was flying the MiG-21 aircraft. "20 years ago, the Indian Army and the Indian Air Force played a decisive role in the Kargil war, evicting Pakistani intruders from several of the posts over here. When the Indian Air Force came into operation in the Kargil war, they were faced with some difficult challenges, taking out with pinpoint precision certain points which were occupied by the Pakistani intruders." Joining us now, the Air Chief Marshal Dhanoa. Thanks very much, sir, for being with us. So 20 years ago, you were a fighter pilot flying and fighting in these heights. We'll talk about other parts of the Air Force, but your own personal memory in hitting targets. So, I mean, you were flying a MiG-21.
It was very nostalgic, it is very nostalgic. In fact, when we were being inducted, we had no idea. We had no clue at all that we are going to go into an operation. In fact, when the first recce missions were carried out on, I think, around the 21st of May, that is when our low-level recce showed some sangar and things like that. That is when we realized that this thing is going to could escalate into a conflict. And after that, as we see, initially we were in the low-level recce role. 26th we were doing low-level recce. 27th also we were doing low-level recce. But after Ahuja was shot and we lost Nachiketa because of an engine flame out, then this low-level recce stopped. Right. Then thereafter our aircraft converted to the bombing role. And we started the bombing role. And bombing role was being done as GPS aided. It was being done from outside the engagement envelope of the man pads. So initially there were some issues regarding accuracy and things like that. Then we decided that, okay, we'll come back to as low as 1 kilometer above target level. But then when you come down to that, you're vulnerable to the missiles. So we said, okay, we'll do single pass attacks. Yep. And second thing we said was we'll do it at night. And for which on moon phase I flew during the night in a trainer with then Skonida Bedi, now Air Vice Marshal. And we said yes, it is in fact snow-clad mountains, shining, moon shining, it is in fact better than the day.
But you had a scary experience of that, didn't you? The second time you tried that?
No, the scary experience is what? Somebody fired a surface-to-air missile on, I don't think so, he had a lock, he just fired it. Because we saw the launch, I saw the launch, the person behind me saw the launch. When there was a helicopter which was supposed to strike after us, he also saw the launch. But you can make out, that is the first time in my life you're taught, that if a person, object is constant in your canopy and continuously growing in size, it's going to hit you. So I carefully looked at that. It was not constant in my canopy. I said he's going somewhere else. So I continued with my strike.
So, and that of course is Tiger Hill. The Mirage 2000 was modified, the littering pod was used, laser guided bombs used for the first time in our history. Talk to us a little bit, sir, about the innovation involved in getting that job done, sir.
No, it is very creditable of this thing was in a limbo. Like the payway bombs that come from the US and the integration with the littering pod and all this was in the limbo because we had come under sanctions in 1998. So in record time, Air Force Station Gwalior did the requisite trials and got the thing working, and that is very creditable. That in record time we got it working, and thereafter they started dropping the bombs, which came out with some very good results.
Yeah. Sir, just a short time left for you in this post as chief. You've had such an important role when it came to the Balakot strikes. Would you say that was the highlight of your tenure as Air Force Chief, or would you say modernization or a bit of both?
God has been kind to me. When I was commanding the squadron, I got Kargil to fight. When I was commanding the Air Force, I got Balakot. So I think I don't, everyone joins the service saying that someday I'll fight. So I got an opportunity to fight. I got an opportunity to hit at our adversary. I think that these two were the highlights of my career. And that is what you wear the uniform for.
Yeah. And was it a disappointment about how the entire Rafale business went? The fact that it's now in the court?
Rafale...
It's a legal issue, obviously.
No, Rafale, I don't think so was an issue at all. I don't think anyone ever criticized the Rafale not being a good aircraft. Yes, there were some doubts. I think No, you see why the Air Force was defending the Rafale deal very vigorously, because the cost negotiating committee was headed by the deputy chief.
Right.
And the deputy chief had done a very good job, and everything was above board. And I'm sure whatever was the courts decide, when the evidence is put in front of them, it will be very favorable.
Yeah.
So yes, you see what happens is, whenever any deal gets into this kind of a controversy, it slows down your entire acquisition process. Everybody becomes double careful, and the files will start moving at a slower pace.
Right.
So the modernization of the services always get affected when such kind of controversies are generated. Yeah. And it's a wonderful aircraft. Hopefully September we'll induct it. Yeah. and it will definitely. The S-400, and there are two deals that have happened by this government. The S-400 and the Rafale, both of them are game changers, and next time this thing, we'll go and hunt them down.
So another deal that has happened or is in the works is more spice bombs, which we are getting from Israel.
No, that we have. You see, what has happened is this under the emergency powers that were released by the government, we have just upped our inventory.
Right. Would you have been happy had we had that visual feed of us hitting?
No, that is, yes, we counted on the satellite and all the clouds came. It happens. This is war. Things happen. Things don't happen exactly as per plan. The question is that, we went about saying that, okay, we need to kill the guys, the terrorists. We never went around destroying buildings. So we dropped the other spice bomb. Otherwise, we actually, on hindsight, if you see the propaganda war, we should drop the other spice bomb.
The one which destroyed
one which would have devastated the building. But the question was not that. The question is, why was the operation carried out? Operation was carried out to tell Jaish-e-Mohammed that no matter where you are, wherever you are, like in this case they were in Pakistan, we'll come and get you.
Right.
If you carry out terrorist attacks in our country. I think that message went down loud and clear.
Yeah.
Both to the Jaish-e-Mohammed and the Pakistani establishment.
One last word, sir. You lost some very fine men during the Kargil war. 5 people on officers and men on a Mi-17 helicopter, and then squadron leader Ajay Ahuja as well. Ajay Ahuja was someone you worked with very closely, same squadron. Your memories of Ajay Ahuja and your thoughts about losing men in combat during Kargil.
You see, first of all, Ajay Ahuja and me go back a very long time. In his first tenure in 101, we were together. I was that time in my second tenure in 101, and thereafter he went to MiG-23s. Then he came back. Then we served again in 29 Squadron, and in 17 Squadron, when I was being asked for a flight commander, I asked for him, and he came to me from the Flying Instructor School. He's a very knowledgeable chap and full of josh, and he would do things. Even if other people didn't like it, he still would do it. So I was very fond of him. So, and 3 tenures together. So when we lost him, I was sure that he'll come back, because 2 reasons. First of all, he had ejected earlier on a MiG-23 BN. Secondly, he had done this FAC in the Operation Meghdut in the Siachen sector. So he knew the area, terrain and all. This what I didn't expect is that he will get shot.
Right.
Now coming to the helicopter, you see what happened in the helicopter was, again, they were inducted hastily, I would use the word. They did not have that time the CMDS, the front and the last guy had the CMDS, this guy did not have.
Yeah.
And they thought that in the confusion when he's attacking the target, he'll also get through. But the fact remains, if you are being targeted by a manpad not located on the target but somewhere else, there was no protection. And very brave guys, because I had told the same thing to Chinky Sinha. I said, even I don't have flares.
Yeah.
But I said, at least I have an ejection seat. I said, you don't even have that.
Yeah.
So it is quite a brave act to still go ahead and do whatever you are supposed to do, knowing fully well that you are very, very vulnerable.
Yeah. Well, sir, it's been a pleasure speaking to you and interacting with you. Thank you so much, sir. There you have it, the Air Chief talking about his tenure as Chief, about Kargil, his operations over here as a fighter pilot. That's it then on NDTV 24/7 as we enjoy and celebrate Vijay Divas and remember the incredible bravery of our men and women in uniform.